Pev, we're back on board with the circuit here at Pyra. Here's the race leaders. Oh, there are all sorts of problems.
Oh, big carnage. Oh, straight to the barriers. And through the smoke we come.
What a crash! Oh, crash!
Hello and welcome to Retro Motorsport. First up, it's Two Wheels from 2009. It's the final round of the 600cc class of the New Zealand Superbike Championships run at Pukekohe.
The final stop of the Castrol Power 1 New Zealand Superbike Road Racing Championships came to Pukekohe Park recently. In the Premier class, it was a couple of Australians that were calling the shots. Robbie Bugden, the defending champion in Superbikes, and the yet-to-be-beaten Gareth Jones on the 600 sports production bikes. But all the talk heading into race day was about the local Sam Smith. A big crash on Saturday's practice meant a late night for mechanic Dave Cole.
No, I haven't been put off by my wee crash, so I'm still, fully determined, and I know that Dave's done an excellent job on the bike, and the Yamaha is going to be, just as strong as it was yesterday. So we're really looking forward to today. Hopefully the weather sort of holds out for us and keeps dry, but no, we're really looking forward to it.
Everyone's saying they were really on it in qualifying yesterday.
Yeah, qualifying. Unfortunately, I only got to do about 4 laps, but no, Gareth Jones, he got pole position, so congratulations to him. He's riding very well, and James Smith in second. So luckily, we still managed to sneak on the front row, which was a real bonus.
Well, what's the secret with going fast around here?
It's commitment, I reckon. You just can't be scared, because the walls are so close and the corners are so fast. It's easy to lose time by just not backing yourself. You really got to just give everything into the corners and not worry about anything.
I guess the other thing we should talk about today is the weather, typical Pukekohe weather, showers off and on.
Yeah, I sort of was hoping for a dry weekend. I'm not a big fan of the wet, but we'll just take what we can get. I can't do any worse than second in the championship, so I'm not too worried about the rain or not. I just focus on doing the best I can.
The man to beat in the 600 sports production class is Queensland, Australia's Gareth Jones. It's his second visit to New Zealand, and he's the sole representative of the Bernard Racing Yamaha team. In the off-season, he races in Europe. Well, with 1 round to go, it is Gareth Jones yet to be beaten on points here in the 600. Second place, James Smith, and third, the defending champion, Dennis Charlotte. Well, the 600cc class has been about one man and one man only, and there he is on your screen, Gareth Jones from Queensland, Australia. He hasn't been beaten yet in the 4 rounds previous of the Castrol Power 1 New Zealand Superbike Road Racing Championship. We're set to go once again. I'm joined in commentary by Paul Pavletić, a man that has done more laps around Pukekohe Park Raceway than the tow trucks, the safety cars, and most of the competitors combined.
Thanks, Phil. Well, I'll tell you what, if someone's going to beat him, it's going to be Sam Smith. This is his track. He is the lap record holder. I think he's done a 58.1 around here, so that's just incredibly fast.
Well, the story about Sam Smith is a pretty amazing one because he's come on in leaps and bounds over this series of championship races, but he had a big crash yesterday. It took a long, long time to rebuild the bike. I was talking to Dave Cole before this race started, and they've used 4 different bikes to rebuild it. And Sam is in the mix. That's him on the 88, the Tecnam Yamaha, and up the inside of him is the number 1, and this is Dennis Charlotte. And this is a Dennis Charlotte we haven't seen all season, Pav, because he's right there in the mix. He's had a bit of a troubled championship season as well.
Yeah, he is the defending champion. He's fired up, raring to go. Look at the speed they carry over the top of the hill here. This is a good 100 mile an hour plus.
Well, that's right, and it's Sam Smith that's going to lead them across the stripe for the first time. Charlotte in second place, then it is Jones, then it's the Kawasaki running Nick Cole. And the other thing we've got to talk about, Pav, is the weather. Did you see the standing water heading into Jenny and Holmes?
Absolutely. You certainly don't want to run over one of those patches of water. The thing will aquaplane and spit you down the road.
Well, you said that Sam Smith, he owns Pukekohe Park Raceway. He's had a troubled couple of seasons, but he's back to his very best here, and he leads them as they head up along the long back straight here and into the kink. Yamaha leading Yamaha now because Gareth Jones has got up the outside of Dennis Charlotte to move into second place. And we've got a tyre war going on here as well, Pav, because we've got Pirellis and Dunlops again. Or Nick Cole just runs it wide out of the hairpin. That'll cost him a spot. Such is the competitiveness of the 600s.
Well, one of the things too, Sam Smith changed from Dunlop's last year to Pirelli's this year. And he said his suspension setups have been completely different. And it's taken him a little while to dial them in. They're just as good a tyre, but the suspension settings are very, very different.
Oh, look at Gareth Jones. He carried so much speed over the top of Ford Mountain, down the inside through Gillian Holmes, and the Aussie hits the front. Well, as I mentioned before, he hasn't been beaten. Sure, he's been headed in the races, but it came to checkered flag time. It's always been the Bernard Racing Yamaha of Gareth Jones at the front of things. And is it going to be this way again? He's in the front now. Sam Smith is in second, then it's Charlotte, then it's Cole. Just tagging onto the back of this bunch is James Smith. Now, James Smith is second in the points, but look at this, Pav. He's right off the pace.
Well, he's struggling a little bit here today, and that's a fabulous ride by Nick Cole on the Kawasaki. That bike's going really, really well. He's quite a big guy, Nick Cole, too, so that's going to be a bit of a disadvantage on these little 600s.
Well, look at this. Are we seeing a bit of a reoccurring pattern here? Because the Aussie just starting to get away a little bit. There is Nick Cole, the Red Devil Racing, Auckland Steel Kawasaki. He's back in fourth place. They come up over the top again. And you've got to think sometimes Pukekohe needs to be wider because they get so close to that white line on the grass as they come up over Ford Mountain. Sam Smith tucks right up into the draft as they work their way through the S's. Charlotte is there. Really impressed with Dennis Charlotte. He hasn't shown this sort of form all season long in the Castrol Power 1 New Zealand Superbike Road Racing Championships, but here at Pukekohe, he's grown another leg, Pav.
Yeah, he has. I'm really impressed with Nick Cole. Did you see the ground he made up round the sweep around Champion? He must have pulled in 4 bike lengths.
Well, speaking about ground being made up, watch Sam Smith under brakes here, the 88. Oh, it gets a little bit squirrely as they come down into the hairpin once again. Gareth Jones just covers his line. Charlotte's there should Smith make a mistake. Remember, Sam Smith climbed on this bike after not even testing it, after destroying his race bike in a practice crash yesterday. This is all untried for him.
This is a remarkable ride by Sam Smith. That corner they just went through the left-hander after the hairpin. He had a crash there at over 120 mile an hour yesterday, so just to pluck up the courage and braveness to get out there and refocus is pretty special.
Talk about bravery. He tries to go down the inside of Charlotte that time. Doesn't work for him. This is number 712, Shane Tunnicliffe, and he's in a bit of a battle for 11th, 12th and 13th place. Phil Endine in there as well, Phil Snowden. And that's just as close as what we see at the front of the field.
It's a vicious racing 600 class that always provides exciting racing.
Well, here are the leaders, and once again, Sam Smith's going to take it to the Aussie. This time he's down the inside as they head into the hairpin, but Gareth Jones just inches ahead. Lap rider just holds his line and moves out of the way slightly. Sam Smith lost a little bit of time that time, Pav, but he seems to make it up coming over the top.
He does. He is the fastest man in the country over the top of the hill when he's on form. He uses the whole track, and he just keeps the thing absolutely tapped. 15,000 revs in fourth gear. Here they come down the front straight.
So the Yamaha's at the front of proceedings here in race 1 of 2 for the 600 sports production class. It's the Castrol Power 1 New Zealand Superbike Road Racing Championship, and it is super racing, make no mistake about it. Gareth Jones hasn't been beaten in the overall results so far. Will Sam Smith hand him his first loss here at Pukekohe? It's as close as you like. Dennis Charlotte out of Christchurch these days, mounting a bit of a charge. Great run out of Castrol, so he'll be up with them as they come down to the hairpin once again. Smith on the outside this time. Well, he tries every which way but loose, Pav.
These Aussies are hard competitors too. They just don't budge. They don't give an inch. I'm really impressed with how tenacious they are.
Well, this is a man in 10th place. This is Brian Wood on the R6 Yamaha. Just coming out of Castrol and out onto the back straight. He's looking behind because he knows there is a fast-moving freight train. And this guy is in it, Gareth Jones. Sam Smith is right in there as well, and so too Dennis Charlotte.
Sam Smith looks like he's got a bit of a jump at the moment. This is going to be exciting. This last lap's going to be all on.
Well, I tell you what, Sam certainly doesn't know when he's beaten, and neither does Gareth Jones, and he hasn't been beaten. I keep saying it, but he's been the dominant figure in the 600 sports production races here at the New Zealand Championship, and he's going to be again, I'm sure of it. This battle for the minors, Adam Chambers is in it, so too is Dave Manuel. Meantime, at the front of the field, it's the local lad, Pukekohe, Sam Smith in the front, Gareth Jones from Australia in second place. Dennis Charlotte is through in third. Then we go back to Carl Morgan and James Smith having a good battle. Look at the speed difference, Pav, as they come down on the lap riders.
Incredible. Now, this is going to be all on. I really hope none of the lap riders get in the way on the last lap. because there could be some fireworks.
Well, Gareth Jones has got his reputation at stake here. Sam Smith has got his reputation as well. Won the 2007 600 Sports Production Racing at the final race here at Pukekohe Park Raceway. Took the TT as well. Here comes Gareth Jones. Oh, they're side by side. Who got there? There was absolutely nothing in it. Jones mounted a late charge, and I wouldn't be surprised if he's got the win here. I think we'll have to go to the photo finish. Pav, look at Gareth Jones. He doesn't know. Gets the Australian flag. That means he's wrapped up the 600 Sports Production Championship, and look at the margin. Sam Smith gets the win by a net. Gareth Jones is second, Dennis Charlotte on the Suzuki is third, and then it is James Smith.
There's a few little parts where I was kind of a little bit on the edge, but Gareth was pulling some really nice moves as well. There was a couple of times into the first turn where I thought I'd brake as late as I can, and then sure enough, Gareth would come up the inside of me. So he was I think he had a lot of confidence in the front end of his bike. He was really pushing the front really hard. So just a great guy to race with, really smooth, really clean, and to be honest, I think I'm just more relieved more than anything. Like I was so nervous going into that race after what happened yesterday, and I'm just so happy. Yeah,
it's my first title, my first national title. So yeah, I'm over the moon at the moment. So the pressure's off a little bit now as far as the championship goes. So I can go out and try and get some wins on the superbike. That's the goal now.
Welcome back to Pukekohe. Coming up, we've got the 600 Sports Production TT. One of the men to watch, Dennis Charlotte. I guess the carrot today is the TT title.
Yeah, it'd be awesome to take something away from the championship, and if we can win the TT, that'd be awesome.
Now living in Christchurch, Dennis Charlotte has spent the last few years racing and living in Australia. Back in New Zealand, he is the current 600 Sports Production champion. He got his start racing 125 Grand Prix bikes. Well, this is the big one for the final round of the Castrol Power One New Zealand Superbike Road Racing Championships. This is the Tourist Trophy, been competed for since the 30s. It's one of the prestigious trophies to put in the cabinet, Pav. And you're riding on board here with Nick Cole on the Auckland Steel Red Devil Racing Kawasaki, and he's been absolutely swamped at the start.
Listen how high these things revs. They're pulling 15,000 odd revs. They really are incredible pieces of machinery.
Well, once again, it is the Yamaha show at the front of the field. Early days, though. Plenty of laps to go in the TT, but it's Gareth Jones and Sam Smith. This is the onboard shot coming from Nick Cole's Kawasaki. Now, Nick, a little bit like Sam Smith, got his start in classic racing with his dad, Graham, and his dad and Nick and a few others make up Red Devil Racing. That's their team as we go back to the front of the field, and once again, Sam Smith picks Gareth Jones's pocket as they head down into the hairpin.
I think Cole's got a bright future, Phil. He's a very, very good street racer as well.
Well, that's right, he went very well at the Battle of the Streets in Paeroa, went pretty good in Wanganui as well. Sort of had a bit of a middling season in the 600s in the championship. Oh, Gareth Jones down the inside as they go over Ford Mountain. Oh, Sam Smith didn't expect that, I'm sure of it, Pav.
Nah, very, very aggressive riding, and here comes Charlotte. He's going to have a look as well.
Well, I can't get over the change in Dennis Charlotte. He's had his mechanical issues. He got involved with that crash at Teretonga. Caught a bit of debris in his chest. That slowed him for a little while, but he's back to his very best now. There's a reason he's got the #1 plate on the bike, and that's because he's very, very good, and he's showing it here at Pukekohe Park Raceway.
I doubt that anybody is fit as Charlotte as well, too. He's a martial art exponent, so you just got to look at the guy. He's a superb athlete.
Once again, we go back to the outside shot, and it's Sam Smith calling the shots, if you'll pardon the pun. Jones in second, Charlotte in third. Then we go back to James Smith. Now, Smith running second in the championship, and he's starting to get up onto the back of these guys as well. Further back through the field, you see the 23 there. That's Carl Morgan out of Auckland. Now, here's the Pro Twins champion, made the move back to the 600 Sports Production class this season, and it's been the right one for him because he's getting onto the back of this bunch, but it is being led by the Yamahas.
Some folks say just get into a rhythm and ride fast for 20 laps. No way, this is a 20-lap sprint race.
Well, they used to say that, didn't they, about all the endurance races? Oh, they'll pace themselves, they'll get into it as the race progresses, but here it is flat out from the get-go. Look at these amazing pictures. You can see how close they race. You're heading out onto the back straight here at Pukekohe Park Raceway.
They go through that corner in second gear, put the power on as quickly as they can. It's critical to get a good drive onto the back straight to carry terminal speed.
Well, that's what Gareth Jones has got this time, so is he going to mount a challenge here on Sam Smith? There is Charlotte just waiting. Should any of the two in front of him make a mistake? James Smith is right in behind him. Then it's another Suzuki in the form of Carl Morgan. Brian Wood in there as well, having a good ride on the Yamaha.
It's a fabulous showcase for the manufacturers, Phil, this class, because they're all so even. All around 120 horsepower in this trim.
Well, that's right, and not only is it a battle for the manufacturers, it's a battle for the race teams. You've got Sam Smith, whose mentor is Dave Cole. Oh, we'll come back to that because Dennis Charlotte, he just about had a couple of wheels on the grass as he tries to go down the inside across the stripe and into Jenny and Holmes. It hasn't worked for him. He's back in third place. He's a little bit closer.
There's still those puddles there as well, too, and I'd be wanting to avoid them at all costs.
Oh, I tell you what, it's enthralling stuff, the 600s. I go back to what I was talking about. You've got a battle of the teams as well. You've got Bernard Racing Yamaha. That is Gareth Jones. You've got Technam Yamaha, that is Sam Smith. Dave Cole is his mentor. And then you've got the Triple R Superbike team of both Charlotte and Smith. And we mentioned the tyres. Pirelli's running 1 and 2 at the moment. Dunlop's 3 and 4.
Yeah, and we said earlier too that Smith's changed from Dunlops to Pirelli's, and he's just dialing his bike in. It's taken a little bit of time because they kept all the data logs from previous years, but they're just not the same. The tyres have different construction, and he had to start again. He had a clean piece of paper, and Dave Cole and Sam Smith will be working really hard to get this bike perfect.
Oh, look at this. Unbelievable stuff in the 600s, and James Smith, well, we predicted it. He's back on the back of this bunch as well. Sam Smith, no relation, leads it. I can tell you, he'll be 21 tomorrow. What a way to celebrate, to win the TT trophy again. He did it in 2007. Then he made what some said was the ill-fated move to the Superbikes. He had a big crash at Ruapuni. You might have seen that on our coverage a couple of seasons ago. And he backed it up and he broke his wrist at Teretonga. So that was season over. Over the winter, he's rebuilt and he's back to his best on a 600cc machine.
These guys are very resilient, Phil. I mean, that Superbike crash he had, I saw it. That was 220 kilometre hours plus, and it knocked the wind out of him, I can tell you that.
This is a great ride here from Brian Wood. He's got on the back of this bunch as well. So we're going to have 7 or 8 of them contesting for the front running here in the TT.
Now, they're all running under a minute too. They're in the 59.5 second bracket at the moment, so they've got a little bit of pace left. When it comes to those final 3 or 4 laps, you'll see them in the 58s.
Well, talk about pace, Pav. What about Gareth Jones down the inside? Sam Smith says, forget it. I'll go round the outside here through Zinni and Holmes, and then thinks better of it.
And you can see as the riders go through the flip-flop there, the knee scrapers can hook into the ripple strips, and some of them have been tearing them off, so they've got to be pretty careful.
65 there, Adam Chambers, just in behind him, Jeremy Holmes on the Honda. He's having a good ride coming all the way from Southland as we go back to this enthralling battle at the front of the field, and Sam Smith isn't done with yet, and neither's Dennis Charlotte, but calling the shots is the man that's picked up his first ever national title. That is Gareth Jones, the Queenslander. Never won a title in Australia and now picked up his New Zealand title here, but can he make it a double? Can he get the TT as well? He's in the front for the moment, and Pav, it looks like he's finally found a gap.
Yeah, it's not enough, though. It's not enough of a gap. The slipstream will come into play and they'll pull him back in down the back straight. You wait and see.
Well, they've changed the order because it's Dennis Charlotte now having a good long look up the inside. Sam Smith right there, though. They've just gapped James Smith a little bit. This is Adam Chambers on the Red Devil Racing Kawasaki, and right in behind him it is Dave Manuel on another Suzuki.
Sam Smith knows exactly what to do. You said it earlier, he won the 2007 TT. He's up to it. Let's see what he can do here.
Oh, he knows what to do. He dives down the inside. Will just get shut out a little bit by Charlotte on the Suzuki. And Suzuki goes into the front. Well, Gareth Jones was caught napping a bit there, Pav, I think.
I think he missed a gear, Charlotte.
Well, he might have done because the Yamaha came back to him, and then in the crisscross, they just about touched. Oh, and the lap riders are going to play a part here as well, and I think it's Greg Percival that's going to feel the hot breath of these fast-running foursome as they come across the stripe once again. Suzuki's Dennis Charlotte leads it. Here comes Gareth Jones. Oh, and Charlotte shuts the door again, and Smith wants to go around the outside. How good do you want it?
That's all on. I tell you what, that would be extremely exciting if you're riding those bikes.
Exciting. By exciting, do you mean scary, Pep?
Scary, exciting. The heart will be pounding. It'll be all on. Well, trying to stay focused.
Battles within battles here. Adam Chambers still holding out Dave Manuel, but all the action is the front of the field. Make no mistake about that, and it's on again now.
There's another lapper.
Sam Smith somehow has gone from third to first as they come into the hairpin once again. Gareth Jones closes up the gap behind him. Charlotte is there as well.
Well, the lapper moves out to the right out wide. That's a good, smart move.
Well, good move there on Shane Tunnicliffe's part.
Then he cuts right across.
Oh, that's got to hurt, I reckon. Gareth Jones was looking for the inside cut, couldn't do it. The lap traffic was in the way, so Sam Smith has got some breathing space.
He'll be a happy
mixing
camper.
it up with Jones. Unbelievable stuff in the 600s. Look at this. Sam Smith, has he gapped them, Pav? Has he got the winning advantage now?
Well, he'll take a look back. Surely he'll take a look back, and that'll put a smile on his face. And he's got to put a couple of really fast laps in now.
Well, they're so evenly matched. The Tecnam Yamaha Shoei sponsored Sam Smith. 21 tomorrow. He gets the keys to the city. I'll tell you what, if he wins this, Pukekohe will go berserk.
I tell you, this is going to be awesome. I think the Aussie boy's going to really put the hammer down now. We'll see some lightning fast laps.
Well, we've said it before, haven't we? Aussies just don't know when they're beaten. They're hard charges from the green right to the checkered. We've seen that with Bugden. We've seen it with Gareth Jones.
Well, Jones has just put the fastest lap of the race in, 58.7.
Well, that's why he's right on the back wheel of Sam Smith now. Dennis Charlotte's in there as well. They're side by side, heading across the stripe. 1 lap to go. I don't know if my heart can stand it.
This hairpin, it's going to be all onto the hairpin. Watch out.
Well, there's a big crowd here at Pukekohe Park Raceway for the Castrol Power 1 New Zealand Superbike Road Racing Championship, and I tell you what, they're all standing up because they are seeing something special here. And look at the gap starting to open up now, Pav. You said Jones put in the fastest lap. You can see why.
Jones is going to have a go up the inside of the hairpin, surely.
Here they come. This is the race to the checkered flag on the inside. Letter G, Gareth Jones, the 600 Sports Production Champion, gets the wheel in front. Sam Smith leans on him. Oh, they're fairing to fairing. Smith has to get out of it at the very last opportunity, but he's coming straight back.
Smith's got one more chance. He's very, very fast coming over the top of the hill. Let's see what he can do. He's going to line him up, get a perfect drive. This is it.
This is where he crashed on Saturday. No crashing today. He's chasing down Gareth Jones. Gareth Jones going for the win. Smith just about on the grass. They're side by side again. The checkered flag comes out, and once again you could put a cigarette paper between them. It was a Yamaha. I'm not going to put my reputation on the line and say who yet. Was it Jones or was it Smith? It was Gareth Jones. Once again, look at the margin, 4 1/1000ths of a second between the Yamahas for the TT title here at Pukekohe. 4 1/1000ths of a second.
It does not get any closer than that. Gareth just rode such a smart race. You know, he was just. I knew he'd be there the last lap, and we had a bit of a braking duel coming into the hairpin, and he just got inside of me, and I knew that if I could follow him over the hill, then I might be able to drag him to the line, but he was carrying such good corner speed over the hill, and it came down to a drag race by probably the smallest of margins ever.
And did you think with 2 to go when you had a bit of a gap that it's yours?
I did, yeah, but I knew how strong, you know, it's what Gareth sort of seems to do the whole season. He sort of sits and waits, and he really sort of studies, you know, who's quicker and where they're quicker. So I knew that he was coming, and sure enough, down the back straight, I sort of, when he was right behind me, I could kind of feel my bike getting sucked back, and I thought, oh God, here we go.
So the final wrap of the championship sees Gareth Jones taking the win on 245 points from James Smith on 186. Great race for Sam Smith, sees him vault up into 3rd place on 143. So there is Sam Smith on the podium, but it's all about Gareth Jones. He takes his first national title.
Next up, it's back on the water with the mega horsepower GP hydroplanes, this time at Karapiro in 2015.
Cambridge's Lake Karapiro was better known as a base for New Zealand's top rowing crews, but a couple of times each year the silence is broken by the country's fastest race boats. Formula One racer Sam Hughes explains more about the start and race procedures.
Basically, we line up pole positions 1 through 12. Yes, that's how many boats we've got. Standing start on the beach. There'll be a guy out in the middle of the track with 2 flags. He'll drop the first flag. The second flag you can drop within 1 to 30 seconds, and then you hit the start button and you go on to the first board. I think everyone's got to sort of work it out from there. It is quite busy. There's a lot of boats. There's a lot of wash and rooster tails. So you've got to get around there. You've got to find some clean water, and if you can get away clean, then you can sort of dictate the race from there.
The winner of the Wanganui Downtown Flying Lap was Raymond Hart in the iconic Boss. We caught up with him here at Karapiro to talk about Wanganui, the boat, and the highlight of this weekend, the 90th running of the prestigious Mass Sport Cup.
The river wasn't that calm and we just had to try and pick our time to go out there, so we only really had one good shot at it. So it was go out there and take no prisoners and just do as best as we could. We're pretty lucky. The boat that Peter Knight Senior built, it handles a bit of the rough water pretty well, and I knew I just had to go out there and give it a pretty good shot because we only had a narrow window of time to do it in, so I had a wee bit in reserve but not a lot. Peter Knight Senior built the boat approximately 24 years ago. Basically the engines are a cast iron 510 cubic inch sheave block with a 1471 supercharger on top, using approximately 2 litres of methanol every second when we're up it, and it's making about 1800 horsepower, and we're running it up to sort of 7500 revs. Well look, I think it's one of the few sports that you can see probably 1800 horsepower engines running straight and hard for the line. There's no other sports that I know of that you can hear such an intense sound of the engines, the work that they're doing, and just a close racing. And the drag races only go for 5 or 6 seconds. We're going for 4 to 5 minutes, so it's quite an effort to have a motor reliable enough to run for that long at the power they're putting out. We've travelled a fair distance, so we're thinking small numbers. Number 1 would be good. We've had the Mass Sport Cup once 2 years ago, and we come up here to try and get it back again, the South Island Rules.
So at Karapiro was the second round of the National Championships, and after hot laps, Sam Hughes was the top qualifier in unfinished business. And those points carrying through for the championship. Anthony Robinson making some big passes, went down the inside of Jeff Price here at the top part of the course, with Julian Stillwell and Sam Hughes making contact during this first race. Relatively flat conditions, overcast overhead, and to the end of the race it was chill out. Ryan Birch taking 3rd place overall in the number 06 machine. Second it would be Anthony Robinson in the Barber Hull design windows, but taking out the first heat, current national champion Luke Sharp in the newly named Zenith Technica, taking out top points for heat number 1.
Yeah, we did have some clean water. We started in pole 7, so we were really lucky to get out in front. 6 boats to get round is quite challenging, but once we got the clean water, we extended our lead and had a really smooth run. I know that right-hander, when we came up on some lap traffic, really slowed us down, and the other teams were affected by that. But we had good water and enjoyed the lead.
Yeah, no, we're quite happy with our result in race 1. We got our 4th, and we had to start 11th from the back of the pack because we're leading the tour at this stage. So yeah, we managed to get all the way up to 4th, which is, you know, we're pretty happy with that. There's some fast guys out there, but no, actually it was definitely an action-packed race, that's for sure.
So was Luke Sharp in Zenith Technica taking out the first heat of the Formula One tunnels from Lake Karapiro. Anthony Robinson in design windows in second. Ryan Birch and chill out third, ahead of Julian Stillwell, Jeff Price, Philip Stillwell, Steve Priest in 7th. Problems for Sam Hughes, Nick Coles, Derek McAdam and Brendan Corns, all DNFs in heat 1. On to the second heat and another beach start, one of the unique facets of the Formula One tunnel house sport. Not a bad place to be, sitting down on the beach. Hole shot from Sam Hughes, an unfinished business. And all of the drivers have to hold their line up into the top turn off the beach start. Luke Sharp to his outside in second. Malcolm Jamieson with a better start. Had some issues in the first heat in Rayglass. Brand new DAC hull. But Sam Burgess out in front. Running the Burgess, Mercury power. Again, pretty much ideal conditions as we go on board with Julian Stillwell. Jamieson to his outside, just up ahead you can see Luke Sharp. In Zenith Technica, looking back on board with Philip Stillwell, running the SBR hull. Sam Hughes streaking out to an early lead, just about perfect conditions. Slightly overcast, very little wind. Sam Hughes with the whole shot, and he's leading in the early laps of heat number 2 for the Formula 1 tunnels here on Lake Karapiro. Anthony Robinson in the Barber hull. All of these boats running the 2.5 litre plus Mercury 2-stroke outboards, battle for third. Between Robinson, Julian Stillwell in Scott Construction, boat number 3, that's a Seabold hull. And Malcolm Jamieson in Rayglass back on board with Stillwell. Sam Hughes, your race leader, just top of shot, already made the turn. Great turn there from Stillwell. You can see how much ground he made up on Robinson. It's the leaders now coming up on the back markers. Sam Hughes has already got past some of the slower boats. Great lineup for the second round of the National Championship. Back on board with Stillwell. Stillwell brothers, the Stillwell family, have been involved in powerboat racing in New Zealand for so many years. Certainly one of the mainstays of this fantastic class, as has the Hughes family. Sam Hughes showing them the way in this second heat. It's this battle for third. Robinson, Stillwell with Jamieson just to the left and inside. Best battle on the race course for third position. Sam Hughes looks to have them covered out front. Luke Sharp trying to make some ground up in Zenith Technica. Hughes going by Chill Out. Ryan Birch finished on the podium in the first heat. A little bit quiet here in heat number 2, taking a wider line as the leader goes down the inside, Sam Hughes. Current national champion Luke Sharp, New Zealand built and designed hull, carbon fibre. Boats produced in New Zealand, the US, Europe. Of course up in the United Arab Emirates as well, which is one of the strongholds of the sport in the world, the Formula 1 tunnels. New boat for Anthony Robinson this year. This is his old boat. Steve Priest and TNT KRB hull. Designed and built here in New Zealand by Malcolm Jamieson down in the South Island. So quite a diverse range of hulls featuring in the New Zealand Formula 1 Tunnel Championship. Stillwell trying to make up ground on Robinson, who looks to have him covered likewise. Hughes over Luke Sharp. South Island's Anthony Robinson in third. Here's back to the race leader. Sam Hughes doing it easy here in heat number 2. Again, working his way through further lap traffic. One of the smaller Formula 2 class boats. Flying down the front straight. With the spectator area here on the bank at Lake Karapiro, you're only probably 100 feet off the race course. Right close down to the action. Absolutely amazing venue here in Cambridge. Better known for rowing. I tell you what, one of the best layouts for circuit racing for boats in the world, without a doubt. Sam Hughes just putting on a clinic here in heat number 2. A big lead over Luke Sharp. Zenith Technica, new sponsor for Sharp this season. Current national champ. Big gap back to third and fourth now. It's still Robinson. Holding off Julian Stillwell. Malcolm Jamieson in fifth. Jeff Price in sixth and Lone Wolf back on board with Stillwell. Number 3, Scott Construction. Just running through the wash, trying to gain an advantage to close that gap to Robinson. Just on that back straight shot, you can see how little of the boat sits in the water in a straight line. Down to the checkered flag. Sam Hughes is celebrating. He's going to take the victory here in heat number 2, and he did it easily in the end. Zenith Technica in second, and the battle in third it will be Anthony Robinson in Design Windows, boat number 21. Narrowly holding off Julian Stillwell in Scott Construction. Sam Hughes taking out the victory in Heat 2 in unfinished business from Luke Sharp, Anthony Robinson, Julian Stillwell, Malcolm Jamieson, Jeff Price completing the top 6 in Lone Wolf, ahead of Philip Stillwell, Steve Priest, Ryan Birch, Brendan Corns and Derek McAdam.
Yeah, it's always pretty busy in that first corner, and it's always you're always pretty happy when you get out in one piece. So, yeah, I mean, we left in pole 3 and we finished in 3, so we were pretty happy.
Hi, I'm Steve Priest, driver of the TNT F1 tunnel. Been in the sport for probably 8-9 years. This is probably the first time back on the track in 4 calendar years. We had a bit of a accident here at Karapiro, so it's the first time back on the water. Formula 1 racing, great sport, absolutely fantastic, and I love it.
Heat 3 of 4 here at Lake Karapiro for the New Zealand Formula 1 Tunnel Series. Public Enemy on the pole. Bike number 87, Nick Coles. Great start from Malcolm Jamieson. Look how tight it is in there in the middle for Julian Stillwell. Sam Burgess went around him on the run up to turn 1 again. Boats having to hold their line up onto the approach to turn number 1. Fantastic start also for Steve Priest in KRB Racing. Total chaos in third, not for long though. Here comes a flying Sam Burgess up into second on the opening lap, chasing down the DAC hull of Malcolm Jamieson, former national champion. Bit of a moment there for Steve Priest on the inside. Hughes takes advantage around the outside. It's a little bit flatter down the southern end of this course. The water will get churned up with the amount of boats around there for heat number 3. There is Steve Priest, gaining time every time he goes out, gaining in confidence after that big crash here on Lake Karapiro a few years ago. Back on board with Philip Stillwell. You can see how much the power heads move around on the back of these boats. Very, very physical, especially when the water starts chopping up with the amount of traffic on the racecourse. On board with Julian Stillwell and Scott Construction, boat number 3, looking for some clean air, some clean water. Jeff Price and Lone Wolf ahead of Steve Priest now in TNT. New Zealand design and built KRB hull. Good run here for Steve Priest in heat number 3. As I said, every time the boat hits the water, Steve gets faster and faster. It's Luke Sharp launches down the inside of Stillwell. Battle inside the top 6. This battle continuing on from heat number 2. Not a lot of vision here for Stillwell. A lot of the crews will run a Rain-X type product on the screens to clear the water, but that water does not look to be clearing on the number 3 Scott Construction boat here. And here's Sharp down the inside, 3 wide on the northern end of the course. Sharp down the inside in Zenith Technica. He hoses down the TNT boat of Steve Priest, who loses some ground, and Stillwell goes by as well. Out in front, though, it's Malcolm Jamieson. This is the battle for 4th, 5th, and 6th. Sam Hughes in 2nd. Jeff Price and Lone Wolf in 3rd. Great shot here from Anthony Robinson, who's a little bit further back than he would have liked in design windows. This is just in front of the power head, looking back towards the cockpit. Approaching speeds close to 200 kilometres an hour. A relatively short course here on Lake Karapiro. Anthony Robinson out of the South Island. Just outside the top 5. Race leader, though, is Malcolm Jamieson in Ray Glass. You can see a little bit of a different aero package with the bodywork on this boat, the DAC hull. This type of boat dominating on the world scene in Europe, up in the United Arab Emirates. Renowned boat builder and a very, very good racer in his own right, Malcolm Jamieson. Also had a very big hand in designing and building the Annihilator race boats, GP hydroplane, driven by Warwick Lupton. Like Sam Hughes in heat number 2, looks to be doing this pretty comfortable in heat number 3, 777 Ray Glass of Malcolm Jamieson. Again, approaching speeds of 200 kilometres an hour in heavy lap traffic. Final lap, the white flag is out on the race course. Jamieson with some lap traffic to negotiate. Back on board with Jeff Price. Running in third, Price has had some issues with the rear bodywork lifting on this boat. We saw that on the downtown flying lap coverage from Wanganui. And you can just see some of the bodywork just has become dislodged here on the final lap. Looking for a top 3 because we've lost Sam Hughes. Sam Hughes is out of the race. Malcolm Jamieson will take the victory in heat number 3, but dramas for Sam Hughes. He will not make the finish. Second will be Luke Sharp in Zenith Technica. And this boat here, Jeff Price and Lone Wolf, will finish in third. The Hoffman Hull podium finish for Jeff Price. Malcolm Jamieson with the victory from Luke Sharp, Jeff Price and Lone Wolf. Julian Stillwell and Scott Construction. Anthony Robinson and Steve Priest complete the top 6. Going back through the field, Philip Stillwell, Ryan Birch and Chillout, Brendan Corns, Public Enemy, and Derek McAdam in the chase. A DNF for Sam Hughes.
Yeah, we've had a pretty bad start to this weekend, and we've had a few handling problems, but we've just changed a couple of things, and just to move up that field and get a clean start, you go.
Oh, I tell you, that was much better than I thought we'd do it. It's pretty hard to come from 11th, fight through the field to second, and then when we got in front, we could see Malcolm making gains on him, but we're stoked with second. We were happy with middle of the pack with a start like that.
Yeah, Sam pulled in, and I thought there was something happened, a red flag or something, so Julian went past, and I thought, Luke went past and Julian's coming, so put it back in, and then we had our usual battle.
So it kicked off way back in 1924 when the Mason and Porter boys built a little boat, Miss Massport, and they went out and cleaned up everything. They're the fastest boat ever, and they decided to make a trophy in 1925, and it's been going ever since. They had a few years off for the war and what have you, but when we were busy building grenades and that for the war effort, and then they're back into it. And these guys, Peter Knight especially, has had a huge history in the Massport Cup. The boys from Taranaki, the Luptons and the Alexanders, have been huge in the last few years, and it's really exciting times. Just to come out here, I live locally here, and come down here and watch them ripping around here, it's awesome.
It's something else. It has something to it.
It makes it very special.
It does, yes, it does. It's a special race.
GP hydroplanes are on the water. Also a couple of Grand National boats and a Formula One tunnel with Steve Priest for the 90th running of one of New Zealand's oldest motorsport trophies, the Massport Cup. Warwick Lupton gets the whole shot. Raymond Hart to his outside, gets shut down in a wall of water. What can't you see out the front of that race boat? And Hart's got to get out of the throttle as they head towards the northern end of this circuit at Lake Karapiro. Lupton with the whole shot. Down the inside though, it's Sun. Jack Lupton in GP57. It's a drag race down the front straight. Flat conditions, but there is some rain in the air here on the lake, which may not help visibility. When you talk about visibility, with 100-foot high rooster tails generated from these 1,500 plus horsepower monsters. Side by side for the lead. Annihilator race boats with Warwick Lupton out in front, multi-time world champion, Massport Cup winner, EC Griffith Cup winner. There is nothing in the world of GP hydroplane racing, basically, that Warwick Lupton has not won. But to his inside, it's the newest of the Lupton family in these race boats, Jack. Back to Ken Lupton, Jack's older brother, and Lucas Oils, another brand new race boat for Ken Lupton this season. Boat running in Lucas Oil colours, that's a Henderson Old hull. 2010, down the inside, Jack Lupton. GP57, he's got the inside run. Warwick Lupton to his outside in Annihilator race boats. Going for a ride on board with one of the newest members of the GP Hydroplane Club in New Zealand, Jack Lupton. Did a part season in 2014, I think his first full season. And these wonderful GP hydroplanes just churning through that rougher water. He's still got the inside line. and solidly now the race lead, but here comes Dad. Warwick Lupton to the outside, blasts on by and Annihilator Race Boats. Another lead change in the first heat of the Massport Cup, and there's some lap traffic coming up. Some of the smaller Grand National type boats and the F1 tunnels also eligible to run in the Massport Cup. Lupton holding on to that inside line. It's Warwick Lupton out in front, going by Miss Aberdeen, one of the Grand National boats. Ford small block power as opposed to the big 510 cubic inch plus big blocks, supercharged on methanol. White flag coming up, and they're still pretty much side by side. Warwick Lupton back in front in Annihilator Race Boats, looking for the first heat victory here on Lake Karapiro for the Massport Cup. Jack Lupton still with that inside line. Back on board with David Alexander running 5th on the water, a little bit down on speed at the moment in Steeler. Raymond Hart in the boss in 4th. Here comes Jack Lupton back down the inside of Warwick Lupton on the back straight. Annihilator Race Boats not struggling for straight line speed, but maybe a problem for Lupton on this last lap because Jack's just gone flying by him to the outside of TNT, gives him a lot of space to the outside, but it's going to be Jack Lupton, victorious in Heat 1 of the Massport Cup. Arguably one of the biggest wins in his relatively short career. And he's beaten the master, Warwick Lupton, who looked like he had a problem on the last lap. 3rd across the line will be Kenny Lupton in Lucas Oils. But it's celebrations for Jack Lupton. Fantastic opening heat victory in GP 57. So Jack Lupton with the win. He will carry 400 points towards the second heat. Warwick Lupton in 2nd, Ken Lupton in 3rd ahead of Raymond Hart. David Alexander with Steve Priest in 6th in the TNT Formula 1 tunnel.
Yeah, it was a very, very tough race. Had the old man on the outside of me. I was pushing very, very hard, and every lap was getting more difficult with all the boats running around there, and ended up finding a whole lot of big rollers in the turns, and really just trying to settle the boats down the straight and keep everything in one piece for Heat 2.
Yeah, it was a bit hard work out there for a wee bit, but yeah, we've got another heat to go. But he came up in the end a bit short. I thought I'd actually finished. I'd done the last lap, but obviously haven't. So yeah, we had a couple of issues out there when we were running around. All the power went off in the power steering, and the wings wouldn't work, so we got light 2 or 3 times out there. But no, it was a good race, no problem.
Yeah, like that's our first race back since we put the new cell on the boat and everything, and it's got a new rudder combination on there, so we're having a little bit of difficulty holding it in a straight line. There's a lot of load on the steering wheel, and we get down the end of the straight doing about 7,200, and it starts walking left and right, so I can't quite control it that good at the moment, but we'll make a few more changes and we'll try and get back to where we used to be running 9,000 down the straight.
Welcome back to Lake Karapiro, round 2 of the Formula 1 National Series and the 90th running of the Massport Cup. 2nd and final heat to come for them. This is the 4th and final heat, round 2 of 5 for the Formula 1 tunnels. Luke Sharp in Zenith Technica off the pole and gets the whole shot. Anthony Robinson to his right in Design Windows, and to his outside is Julian Stillwell in Scott Construction. See how physical these boats are on turn-in. Stillwell gets a little bit of a wash down there as they battle for position in the early laps. 4th and final heat. Points carrying across from hot laps, qualifying, and the 4 heats. On board with Anthony Robinson, this unique shot looking back down the boat. Battling inside the top 3. Still Luke Sharp, current national champion, out in front. Seabold Racing, hull number 3, Scott Construction of Julian Stillwell. And there's Malcolm Jamieson. can see how different those two boats look side by side with the aero profiles back on board with Stillwell. Again, just about ideal conditions on Lake Karapiro. Overcast, not a lot of sun around as Stillwell makes a wide run. Southern end of the course. In front of the spectators here at Lake Karapiro. Race leader though, New Zealand built and designed. Prompt parts built by Gordon Robinson, Barracuda Kayaks up in Silverdale, north of Auckland. Carbon fibre hull. Gordon himself a boat racer, but with offshore power boats. A couple of seasons ago won the New Zealand Offshore Powerboat Championship for the Superboat Lights class. Anthony Robinson and Stillwell still going at it for second and third, back on board with Stillwell and Scott Construction. Tight turn that time, he ran a little bit wider on the previous lap. Sucks the boat down, makes the turn a little bit wider off the exit. Robinson just a tidier line off, a little bit more acceleration. Upwards of up to 200 kilometres an hour on water. Malcolm Jamieson in behind Stillwell in the 777 Rayglass DAC. Sinister looking boat. Quite a different side-on profile to most of the other boats here. Again, we talk about diversity with the different brand of hulls. On board with Philip Stillwell. Running the SBR hull, looking back over the Mercury Powerhead. You can see the buffering that gets. To his outside is Total Chaos. A little bit further down the order. On board with Jeff Price here in Lone Wolf. Up inside the top 6. Solid weekend for Jeff Price. A little bit of ground to make up on the next boats ahead. Which will be Stillwell, Jamieson, and Anthony Robinson. And out in front it is still Luke Sharp, Zenith Technica, new sponsor for the weekend. Comes the Prompt Parts business up in Auckland, in Manukau, South Auckland. Stillwell trying to chase down the leaders. Fourth and final heat, back on board with Stillwell. Robinson just up ahead. He cannot make up any ground, trying that tighter turn, but he's washing out off the exit. Just losing a little bit of momentum. A lot of changes you can make on these boats to help them with turning. Prop sizes, it's all about acceleration, getting a balance between acceleration and straight line speed and the turning. Whoa, moment there. Luke Sharp down the inside of Chill Out. Chill Out having to take avoiding action. May not have seen him coming down into the turn. Didn't look like it hurt Luke Sharp at all. He's got a pretty good lead here. Heat number 4, second round. The New Zealand Formula One Tunnel Championship here on Lake Karapiro. Looking for his second win of the weekend. Qualified second behind Sam Hughes. Unfortunately, no Sam Hughes for this fourth heat. As the white flag comes out, Hughes with a technical problem in the third heat. Saw him with a DNF. Winner of the second heat. But for heat number 4, Luke Sharp is not going to be beaten here. Back on board with Anthony Robinson, now up into the second position. Through some of the smaller F2 traffic. That is a great shot, but it's going to be Luke Sharp down to the checkered flag. He will take victory in heat number 4. And with it, more than likely, the round win as well for the current national champion. So Luke Sharp taking the victory from Anthony Robinson, Malcolm Jamieson in third, Jeff Price in fourth, Julian Stillwell fifth, Philip Stillwell in sixth in total. Followed by Ryan Birch and Chill Out, Brendan Corns in Total Chaos, Nick Coles, Derek McAdam, Sam Hughes a DNS in heat number 4.
Yeah, it's still early on in the season. It's 2 events under our belt, and we've got 3 to go. It's not very many weekends that it goes to plan, but everything worked for us this weekend.
Yeah, we've had a great weekend. I mean, the second there was good. We started in pole 2 and we finished in pole 2, which we were pretty happy about. We're probably either second or maybe even leading the tour now after this weekend, so we're pretty happy. I mean, we had a big day yesterday. We had a collision yesterday, and we were lucky that we never punched a hole and we could carry on, and we got a second in that race as well. So yeah, we've had a good weekend.
We thought we'd stay and be in fourth in that one, but obviously Scott Construction had a little bit of a whoopsie there, and we just were trying a few things in that race actually, and we're actually going to go home now, and we've actually think we've found why I can't drive the boat properly in some propellers. So I'm happy with a third just to get out of that one, because we didn't have a very good day yesterday. So yeah, we'll be hoping to go good at Rotowiti.
So with the round victory here at Lake Karapiro, Luke Sharp leads the championship, heading to round number 3 on Lake Rotowiti in Nelson. Anthony Robertson second in the points, ahead of Julian Stillwell, Malcolm Robertson, Jeff Price and Sam Hughes. Out of the 6, Philip Stillwell, Ryan Birch, Steve Priest, Nick Coles and Derek McAdam in the chase. You would think GP hydroplanes are all about the brute horsepower, but there are many other changes and adjustments that the teams can make as well over a race weekend.
Yeah, well, basically you're on the throttle control with the horsepower we've got, trying to keep them like just floating above the water, as much of the boat out of the water as you want, so it's not got much friction. And then you've got a front canard wing, which is on a button on your steering wheel for up and down, and use that depending on how much lift there is down each straight, and also drop it in the turn, and that'll lift your boat out of the water more to hook it through the turn. But they turn basically on your rudder and turn fin there, and that's what holds you through the turn. Big fin there like that, and they'll just lock in. Basically you turn the wheel, and the more throttle you give it, the harder it'll go in. And these things turn like pretty real awesome for hydroplanes. They're like a lot different than the older ones we used to run years ago, and they'll hang through the turn phenomenal. But we're not probably getting the top speed out of these new boats as we'd hoped just yet, but we're getting around the track probably better. So we've got a little bit more to learn with them, but we're getting there.
And drama for the final heat of the Mass Sport Cup. Jack Lupton, Heat 1 winner, is out of the boat trying to get back to the dock area. A problem before the race start. And Lupton will not make this race. Heartbreak for the youngster. Rest of the field assemble on Lake Karapiro again in misty conditions for the second and final heat for the 90th running of the Mass Sport Cup. Lake Karapiro erupts. Warwick Lupton down the inside, Ken Lupton in the middle, and Lucas Oils. Warwick Lupton in the yellow Annihilator race boats, Ken Lupton in the white, red and blue, Lucas Oils to the outside. Monster rooster tails. So no Jack Lupton. For the Mass Sport Cup at the moment, it falls into the hands of Warwick Lupton, but he's got to get to the finish first. And problems here for Ken Lupton. He's shut down on the front straight. Well, it's all going wrong for the younger Luptons. It's looking good here for Warwick Lupton. Still quite a bit of this race to go, though. For the 90th running of the Mass Sport Cup. Annihilator race boats. Grant Rivers built and tuned, 510 cubic inch big block. Underneath the engine cover, there is the prone Ken Lupton on the front straight. They'll have warning flags out on race control. David Alexander now into second in Steeler, still getting to grips with this brand new race boat. He goes to the outside of the stranded Ken Lupton, on board with Raymond Hart in the Boss GP05, currently third on the water. So this is Warwick Lupton's to lose. He can't afford a DNF. David Alexander with a 5th place in Heat 1. Raymond Hart with a 4th place finish. So this is the newest of the Annihilator team boats. 2012 Henderson Old Hull. 510 cubic inches, around 1,800 plus horsepower. Likewise, Warwick Lupton. Grant Rivers out of Wanganui. A huge task to keep all of these Annihilator boats running. Unlike the Boss, which is based out of the South Island, Raymond Hart's done a great job in this boat over the last couple of seasons. So misty overcast conditions. Warwick Lupton going past some of the smaller traffic, looking to tie up yet another Mass Sport Cup crown. You've got to say the boats run like clockwork right throughout the weekend. And that's paramount in these type of races with GP hydroplanes. Combination of speed, finishing races, and reliability. So the white flag is out. Warwick Lupton streaks down the back straight at over 220 kilometres an hour. Cruising to the finish line to tie up the second heat. And another Mass Sport Cup trophy. Lupton with the victory. And that's a fantastic reward considering the amount of work and preparation that goes into these boats and the development of this Annihilator race boat's hull. Disappointment for Ken Lupton and Lucas Oils. So Warwick Lupton with the victory. He takes out the Mass Sport Cup for 2015. Raymond Hart in second ahead of Steve Priest and TNT. Giant killing performance in the Formula One tunnel.
Well, Warwick Lupton, 2015 Mass Sport Cup. Lupton name on it yet again, eh?
Yeah, no, pretty awesome, eh? The old fellas are back, I'd say. We gave those young guys a lesson, so there was no problem. We're pretty happy.
Pretty hard work, actually, and second's a good result, but not the one we came here to get. So, but overall, the boat's all good, and yeah, we're wrapped that we've got a second. We have to come back and get number one next year.
Yeah, we unfortunately had a little bit of bad luck with the fuel cable. It slipped, so we couldn't get fuel to the engine, which stopped us from starting at the start there. But race one was really good for us.
So disappointment there for Jack Lupton, but Warwick Lupton, the overall victor for the 90th running of the Mass Sport Cup, ahead of Raymond Hart. Jack Lupton in third, enough from his first heat win to salvage that. Steve Priest fourth, Ken Lupton fifth, David Alexander in sixth. So Warwick Lupton gets presented with the Mass Sport Cup, certainly not for the first time. Warwick Lupton with the victory from South Island's Raymond Hart, Jack Lupton in third, and the total Annihilator team celebrating victory here at Lake Karapiro. Warwick even gets a free Mass Sport out of it. Welcome back to Lake Karapiro. One final race of the weekend for the top 10 fastest boats overall, the Dennis Taylor Memorial. This will feature the GP hydroplanes, some of the Formula One tunnels, and the Grand National boats. And as an extra bonus, a beach start. On board with Jack Lupton, just struggling to get away. Now that's Jamie Lee Lupton, Warwick Lupton's daughter in Annihilator race boats. She's got a fantastic start, but down the inside, it's Raymond Hart in the boss. Jack Lupton now gets away. But he's about a quarter of a lap down on the rest of the field. So Raymond Hart leads in the boss. Water a little bit flatter at the end of the weekend. You would expect this northern turn, though, to chop up a little bit with more traffic out there on the race course. Very wide line there from Jamie Lee Lupton. Jamie's more used to sitting in the navigator's seat alongside Duncan Wilson in the jet sprint boats. She's done that for a good few seasons on board with Raymond Hart, race leader here in the boss. Being chased by Jamie Lee Lupton. First time I've certainly seen Jamie Lee at the wheel of Annihilator race boats. Fantastic opportunity. There's already Raymond Hart just in amongst some of the back markers, some of the smaller Grand National type boats, modified hydroplane class boats. See that northern turn just chopping up, beautiful and flat on the front straight. Boss just riding sponson to sponson. Before Raymond Hart got in this boat, American J. Michael Kelly had been racing the Boss. This is impressive from Jamie Lee Lupton. It's been a good 3 or 4 seasons, as I said, sitting alongside Duncan Wilson, navigating alongside in the Lethal Injection Superboat. But that involves a jet sprint course. Huge G's on turns. There'll be some G's involved here. Nowhere near the top speed in a jet sprint boat to what you will see in these GP hydroplanes, capable of up to 270 kilometres an hour. Raymond Hart looks to be cruising. Down here on the front straight in the Boss. Should be aware where Jamie Lee Lupton is on the race course. There's David Alexander still getting to grips with the Steeler. Beautiful paint job on this boat with the distinctive shark painted on the cockpit. 2012 Henderson Old Hull. DNF'd in the second heat of the Massport Cup, unfortunately. On board here with Alexander. He's got the adjustable front canard wing. Very, very rough water here for the Boss. Jamie Lee Lupton staying with him. You can see how close they get to the waterfront here on the lake at Karapiro. Amazing spectator viewing off the grass bank. Final lap, white flag is out for Raymond Hart, looking to take out what effectively is the flying farewell, the Dennis Taylor Memorial. Nice and tight to the markers. This is Miss Aberdeen, one of the Grand National boats. Small block forward power, as opposed to the big 510 big blocks. Jack Lupton out there missed the start, so he's a bit further down the order in GP 57. Again, great shots. See how close they get to the waterfront. Going by the dock area and the cranes, which crane the boats in and out of the water in between heats. Down to the checkered flag. It will be Raymond Hart taking out the flying farewell. I think Lupton slowing in the background. Jamie Lee Lupton in Annihilator race boats. Just caught a glimpse of the boat slowing in the water. Hart takes the victory, and drama here. A big fire on board Annihilator race boats. Jamie Lee is out of the boat. The rescue crew right there with her, but that is a big fire. Drama here on Lake Karapiro. Jack Lupton's gone by just to help throw some water on the boat. Rescue one's there, they've got the extinguishers on. This is a big, big fire. Devastating into the weekend.
Just looks as though we split a couple of fuel lines into the port nozzles, and it sprayed fuel everywhere, and Jamie was driving, and obviously a bit of a fire, so we've got a bit of an issue.
From the dramas of Lake Karapiro, the teams now head south for round 3 of the Formula One Tunnel Series and the GP hydroplanes on Lake Rotoiti in Nelson.
Now it's time to turn the volume up. No commentary needed. Just the pure sound of rally cars from the Greg Todd Memorial Rally in Maranarua Forest 1997. Enjoy.
Well, like any accident, it starts well before the corner. As we're coming down the valley, I use 5th gear, and it's a little bit clumsy getting out of 5th, and I was unsure of my gear, and I went back to 2nd too early for that corner, back to 3rd, and I didn't get back to 2nd. have it done? Oh, right. Okay, boys. You ready to go?
That's it for this week. See you next week for more Retro Motorsport.
You'd have to say as we're back on board with the circuit here at Pyra. Here's the race leaders. Oh, there are all sorts of problems.
Oh, big carnage. Oh, straight to the barriers and through the smoke we come. What a crash!